Good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm pretty sure Ali is just waiting for the music to be over before he shows up, so we're all good. So, how's everybody doing this morning?
Happy
Great.
birthday.
All right, fantastic.
Happy birthday.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of not the same as it was when I was younger, but I made sure my boys knew that tomorrow was my birthday. So they both already said good morning and happy birthday to me. So that's a big thing, right? Most don't. My oldest boy, he's 19 and he's in college. So I usually only hear from him like once a month right now. So, so part of being a boy's mom. But
I have 3 boys. I know how you feel.
oh yeah, it's like they know that you're there when they really need you, but for the most part, they're just flying on their own wings, and I'm okay with that. I really am, but I miss them. I really miss them. So Robert and Sulfakir, you guys make sure that you say good things and lots of love to your mom on a daily basis.
For sure.
All right. So yesterday, we'll just go ahead and dive right in. Yesterday, we talked about introducing construction management and just getting you a better idea of what kind of roles, responsibilities that you may have as a construction manager. You guys may have also done the homework. And if you did, I hope that you were able to put it in the Facebook. I'll be going in and checking that today and talking with you about some of the job description that you put together and what you're envisioning that role to look like as far as you becoming a construction manager. And so we talked a little bit about master plan. We're going to really go into that a little bit deeper today. And one of the things that I love about construction, and I've said this yesterday as well, is it really is just an expansion of our life mastery skills and aligning those over into construction management. We're just using construction terminology. And so that's why construction experience is important for us in order to be able to add that construction terminology to life skills that we've already developed that we're going to be using in the industry. The one thing that I really love doing is using construction terminology when I'm talking about everyday life. So when we're talking about a master plan is something that we use in construction all the time. Okay, let me rephrase that. A master plan is something I use in construction all the time, and everybody else should. Because many times what happens is we get caught up in what the problem is. You know, right in front of us, there's a problem, we got to fix it, and it's a reactionary emotion instead of being preventative. If we're able to think ahead and kind of prepare ourselves, you know, build contingency plans into what it is that we're working on, then we have an opportunity to control more of what ends up happening on the project. And construction managers, we're all about control. So I definitely am going to be talking about how sometimes we need to release control and not always be that type A that has to be in charge of everything, or it's not going to be good for our own personal wellness. But one of the things, I'm going to go ahead and admit somebody here. One of the things that I love doing is integrating construction terminology into daily life. And so when we talk about a master plan, we can do a master plan in anything. We can do a master plan in our garden. What do we want our garden to look like at the end of the summer? A master plan in personal goals. What do we want our family to look like? What do we want our children to grow up to be? And so you can build that master plan. In construction, we use a master plan to have an understanding and idea of the project. What does this end deliverable look like? And what is it going to produce for the client or owner? And remember yesterday when I was telling you that, if you have that vision and it's very detailed, it has color, it has smell, it has feeling, it has action to it, that you don't really need to know how it's going to happen. Because how many times have you planned something, right? We plan and God laughs. Okay, so how many times have you planned something and it's changed, but you still end up with the same thing? You still end up with what you were striving towards, but the way that you went about it ended up having to change or be different. And so we don't want to get caught up in the weeds of how we're going to do this. We just want to be able to focus on what that final deliverable is going to be. So notice I've said now deliverable. So that is a terminology and a word that we use in construction, but we can also apply it to our life. So when we're building a master plan, big overall picture, some people call it a big audacious goal. And then when in construction, we do something called a back pass. Now, a back pass is one of my most favorite things to do. I also played basketball, so, it's kind of close to my heart. But a back pass is when you can see what the deliverable is. You don't really know how you're going to get there, but you need to be able to put kind of mini goals in place in order to achieve it. Okay, so we have this big vision and goal that we want to get to, but we kind of want to identify general areas that we're going to be pointing our boat towards and be able to get there. And so those general areas are going to be called phases. Okay, so in construction, when we're talking about phasing a project, we're talking about being able to complete a portion of work that can stand on its own. So if I ran out of money, but I was able to complete phase one could still operate and be whatever it needed to be. Okay. If I had to stop the project right then and there, then I've been able to do that in that phase. Now, when we're looking at projects, a lot of people are looking at the project as a project. It's got to happen. I was given an award, and that's the way it's going to be. Things happen in life and in projects where we have to abandon, and we have to know when that abandon is going to happen and what is going to happen with the players that are in the game at that point in time. Now, we talked about an inner core team being our architect, inspector, construction contractor, construction manager, and our client or owner. And so that inner team, a lot of times somebody wants to get rid of the architect or get rid of the contractor. When you're so far into a project, to consider doing something like that could be devastating for a project. So as bad as it seems, get ready for it to get worse. And whether or not you're willing to take that trip is what you really need to be looking at. So when we're building these phases, these are going to be big general areas that are going to be able to be completed independently, that if something went completely wrong with the project, we know that at least we were solid in a certain place. So like, for instance, if I had a house that I was building and I could see that the owner wasn't being as responsive as they needed to be in paying their bills or money, I would want to make sure that I at least had the exterior envelope of that house completed so that any work that I had done inside would be protected. Okay. It doesn't mean that everything has to be done. It just means that phase, everything's closed in. Okay. And then we're going to, in these big areas or these phases, is we're going to move into identifying milestones. Milestones are like mini goals that we're going to do that are going to stair step us into the completion of the phase. Okay. So we have our master plan, our big overview of what's going on in the project. We're going to back pass and identify the last phase of the project, the middle phase of the project, and then the commencement phase of the project. And then we're going to forward pass and build mini steps and goals, milestones in each of those areas in order to be able to kind of help direct us to that goal. And those baby steps are going to get us to the big finish. Okay. This is one thing, even in life, we need to recognize if we did one thing a day, 365 mini steps, what kind of one big accomplishment do you think that could carry? Okay. So when we're thinking about our life, we're thinking about life mastery, we can also transition that over into how we think about a project and being able to develop a project. Now, the other thing that I want you to think about when we're talking about a master plan is that you're like, Corey, my life, I've been doing my life for 53 years. So I pretty much know exactly, what needs to happen on a daily basis. First, a lot of times we're too close to the project. So if we're too close to it, we can't have a nice big overview and see what's going on. But secondly, is that we're when we're looking at really putting a master plan together. Okay, wait one sec, because I just lost my thought. This happens too when you get to be 53. Like, oh, I forget where I was going with that, but anyhow, master plan is going to be essential in order for us to be able to get our work going and our work forward. And so you have to kind of think about when we talk about, yesterday we talked about some of the parasympathetic systems that we go through, our human operating system, and talking about how our body reacts to fear. The same thing is going to happen when we're moving into developing and designing a master plan. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like there's just things, I don't know if I can do that. And we know that those kind of questions can pop up in our head, and what needs to be overridden is the understanding of, I don't have to know how to do it. I just need to know what it's going to look like. If I know what it's going to look like, then I'll be able to continue educating and working on the foundation that I'm going to build on, that's going to get me to the answer that I need in order to get there. And I know that this is something that can just be like, Corey, I hear what you're saying, but I still feel that, and I understand that. And that's why you have to lean on mentors. You have to lean on people who've been there and done that, and trust in them enough to be able to say, okay, they've done it. I understand what she's saying. I understand she knows what's going to happen. And so I'm going to take that leap. Okay. And I have trust issues myself. So I totally get when people are like, well, I don't know you, so I can't trust you. And so trust is something that is developed over time. It's something that you have to build on. It's really hard for people who are already trustworthy because they have a perception that other people are like them. And so when you fall into this understanding of how you would like to be treated, and therefore that's how you treat other people, just recognize that that's not always the case of how people are coming back at you. And so it's just really important to stand guard, but be open. And I know that doesn't make sense, but you'll be able to feel it as it's happening and know when it is that you can trust somebody and be able to lean on their experience and lean on their mentorship to be able to carry you forward. And I mean, one of the reasons why that's so important is because there's no way that we could each achieve in our life what we needed and wanted to in order to be able to get exactly where we want to go. And so we kind of have to shortcut some of the experience by taking out the failure that would normally help us in the journey understand what it's going to take for us to be able to move forward. And so by leaning on the experience of someone else who's already gone through the failure and already beaten it and already identified what the next step is, then we don't have to share that same experience, and we can just jump right to the success. Now, It's not always going to happen that way, right? We need to experience failure. Honestly, there's really no problems and there's really no failure. And I'll tell you guys all about that later, because when I give you that secret, I'm not even going to be necessary. So I want to make sure I save that till the end. But failure is just how you define it, right? I mean, what one person sees as failure, another person is going to see as a treasure. It's going to be something that they're so absolutely grateful for that they're able to accomplish. And so we really need to be able to focus on the words that we use, and we need to be able to focus on what we can be grateful for in what it is that we're doing. So when we're looking at a master plan and we're developing that big goal and that picture, one of the things that we're going to ask ourselves is, why are we not where we want to be right now? Okay, so I'm just going to use Jenny as an example. And so I want to build a beautiful construction management firm that is able to organize and manage projects in such a way that everyone on the project is able to make a fair profit. We're effective in our communication. The project is flowing smoothly. It's exciting to be able to watch the equipment. It's exciting to be able to watch other individuals grow in their personal growth and establish confidence in themselves and their abilities. And this is all coming from my construction management company. Okay, so that's going to be our big vision and our goal. And then thinking, like, why hasn't it happened yet? It may have not happened because we were busy building experience in other areas that actually got us to this point where we found what we love. And that's what's happened to me my whole life. I mean, I had no intention of getting into construction management, right? I was going to go to work for the American Quarter Horse Association. I went to Texas A&M, animal science. I was a rodeo girl. I still barrel race. So it was like, this is what I'm going to do. And then I found out when I graduated from A&M that my student loans were more than the annual salary that I would be making. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to be in agriculture, I need to pay off my student loans first, and then I can go back to my dream job. And so I had been working summers as a laborer, and I went back into construction, and I went home and I started working every day as a laborer. I had a degree from Texas A&M. I was working as a laborer in the field, but I was making like $20 an hour, which is pretty good for somebody at 24 at that time. So I thought that I would be able to pay off my student loans, but I mean, 1 year became 2 years, and I was working on a job site that had about 400 men. It had about 5 women on it, and it was demoralizing. I was treated like a piece of meat. Every time I would walk to the bathroom or the blue room, it would be like a cesspool of pornographic pictures on the wall and the inside, and my name was on the majority of them. And it was a part of construction I had never seen before, because my dad had always worked the summer jobs with me. And so I kind of had a protector. And my dad, I mean, he's 6'4", 300 pounds. So it wasn't like there was going to be any guys messing around with his little girl on the job sites. I mean, I had really nice protection. But the thing about it is I didn't really think I don't like construction because of this. Like that never even crossed my mind. I loved the physical work of the construction. I worked with 3 guys and we stripped forms all day long together, and we had the best time. Like the camaraderie was amazing. It made me feel like I was back in high school, where there wasn't this sexual tension. We were like tomboys and friends, and we could talk to each other like real friends, and I loved it. And so my dad went into the office, and he was wearing his Texas A&M jacket, and he was so proud of his daughter. And the senior project manager goes, "Where'd you get that jacket?" And he goes, "My daughter graduated from Texas A&M. And Curtis Allen goes, "I'm an alumni of Texas A&M. He goes, "Where is she?" He goes, "She's working as a laborer out in the field." And so the next 4 days, Curtis Allen drove around the job site looking for me, and he found me, and he offered me a job in the office as an assistant project engineer. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I knew that I was walking in 3 foot of mud. I was wearing Carhartts every day. Had tendonitis in my shoulders from all the sweeping and all the stuff that I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'm going in the office. So I went into the office and learned how to be an assistant project manager. And I had a mentor who was my ACM, my assistant construction manager. And then Curtis Allen, because I was local, he would just lay off all of the other ACMs and have me step in and close out their bid package. I was 24 years old. I had no formal experience in construction. I didn't know how to read drawings. I didn't know anything about specifications. And within about 6 months, I was closing out other people's bid packages. And then Curtis Allen had a health issue. He had a brain tumor, and I was the only one left on a $250 million prison project. And the director of corrections, her name was Wanda Nelson. She's the first female mentor that I had. She was absolutely beautiful, eloquent, and just so articulate. I just am so grateful to have had a woman like her to look up to, because she was also kind and she was also very supportive of me. And she had faith in me. She believed in me, and she said, you can do this. And so I closed out that project. And then when I was looking at moving to the next project, my career had started. This is what I was going to do. Like, now I thrived on it. And I've always thrived on competition. So it was kind of like, oh, you can't do this. You're too young. This isn't, well, don't tell me I can't do something. So it was an amazing opportunity. So I fell into it. And that's how a lot of us do, is we fall into it and we don't really put the plan in place. And I would say, even after that, I didn't put the plan in place. I went where I was taken. And the thing is I interviewed after that, I interviewed for the next project, which was a $350 million project in Southern California, to be a construction manager there with Fleur Daniel. Fleur Daniel's like one of the Fortune 500 top construction management firms in the world. And they wouldn't even interview me. They were like, no, you're animal science. What are you doing in construction? You don't have any experience. No, we don't need you. Wanda Nelson told them, if you want to work for me, you need her. And so they had to hire me. And so they put me in a position that I'm sure they thought I was going to fail at. They, within 3 months, had to promote me to an assistant construction manager position to take over the bid package. And I led that bid package through the 3 years that we ran that project. And so with that to say, I just want to encourage, I know all of you here are, and I haven't had the opportunity to meet our RINs yet, but I'm assuming that all of you are here because you already have some construction experience, just because of the people who were here yesterday. But you don't have to have construction experience. I mean, I worked the summers as a laborer, but I never got to look at a set of drawings when I was out on the job site. I never got to read a spec book. I never had picked up a textbook about construction materials or anything like that. Knowing and understanding how to use your life skills. So I was a good communicator. I was a hard worker. I'm very organized and managed anyways in my personal life. And so I was able to take those life skills and transition them over. And I had to learn some stuff. And it wasn't necessarily fun, right? So sometimes there's hard stuff that we have to do to get over the mountain to the fun stuff. I had to learn how to read specifications. I had to learn how to go through the drawings and be able to retain information from one drawing to the next and recognize if that detail was comparable or compliant with the actual drawing. And so being able to self-teach myself through those 4 years, I mean, definitely, if you want to talk about what drinking from a fire hose, I mean, it was gushing. Okay, so I know exactly what you're going through when you find that fear of I'm not going to be able to capture all this information, because literally I have moments of blackout where I know I was so overwhelmed with things that it just I had to do the work. I had to get the work done. That's all there was to it. And so up until, I would say that I probably about 40 or 45. So I've been probably in the industry for about 25 years, 20 years before I really started thinking, you know what, I can control this boat. I don't have to keep going where the job is offered. I can start working on jobs that I want to work on. I can start being very focused. Do I want to work on a prison project, or do I want to work in the school system and public? Or do I want to do casinos, or do I want to do hotels, or do I want to do gas stations? And so being able then to have that master plan in place and recognize that it works for my life just as well as it does a project allowed me to be able to start directing where I wanted to go. Now, even being a teacher wasn't my choice. Okay, I went through a really hard divorce. My boys were young. It was important that I had the same schedule that they did. I did not like teaching, especially a bunch of hardcore construction guys who wanted to prove that they knew more than I did in the classroom. And so if teaching was not a fun experience, because I felt as a teacher, I was supposed to know everything, that I had to know everything because I was the person they were looking at. Once I started to recognize that instead of beating my head against the wall and fighting with these guys all the time, that I, as a construction manager, was always a facilitator of information, and that even they have information that's valuable that I've never experienced or had, that I could lean on their education and experience. Then I could go through this opportunity of facilitation of information as a teacher, instead of being the one point of have to know everything. And so the reason why I bring all this together for you is to know and understand that, you know, when I'm looking at a $350 million project, all of a sudden I could just be like overwhelmed. That's just, God, what even happened? Where do I even start in a project like that? And so by building a master plan, putting together these areas of concern that we want to be able to meet in order to get us to the master plan, identifying stepping stones of milestones that are going to get us to the goals of those individual areas, then we're going to be able to intentionally put a plan together that is going to align with what we do in our life and what we want to be doing in our professional career. Okay. So I'm just going to stop there for a second. I want to invite Arins to jump on and tell us a little about yourself if you want, so that we can have a better idea of the direction you're wanting to go. Or is that Ali?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Oh, okay. Ali, I see you. We'll talk to you next. Hi, Arins. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Quite an interesting story. um, yeah, so my name is Arinze. I'm currently doing my master's in construction management at the University of Florida. My background was in civil engineering, and I worked for a period of like 2 years as a structural engineer. But I figured I prefer working in the construction. So I decided to do my master's in construction management, and I hope to practice as a construction project manager, upon the completion of my program.
Very exciting. How close are you?
So I'll be starting my second year by August.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, my final year. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, make sure that you reach out to Sulfacure because he has civil engineering experience as well. And what I love about you being able to use that, we talked about it yesterday with Robert, because Robert actually has about 4 interests in construction that all kind of wrap up and have similar characteristics, to where sometimes it can be hard to choose exactly where to start. So Robert would love to get into being a real estate mogul and just investing and having thousands of houses on tap for him to be able to remodel and rent out. And so becoming a construction manager provides a really good foundation and base for him to build from, and then decide if, you know, he wants to go vertical or if he wants to go out with some of those other interests. And you already having civil engineering and structural experience is huge for construction management, because it really does give a nice foundational base of understanding the important foundation of an actual project and being able to put that together. So any time that anybody can do hands-on work or get out in the field, even if it's volunteering, I 100% support it, because that hands-on experience is really vital in knowing and understanding of what it is you're reading and what you're going through in the textbook. So we're happy to have you here, and thanks for being here. Ali, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy birthday, Professor.
Thank you.
Actually, to introduce myself, I moved to the United States in 2014 with 2 bachelor degree, statistics and mechanical engineer. After 2-3 years, I looking to get a new certificate in the United States. I got construction management technology from you. You are my professor, my favorite professor. And I try to work in, I apply to many jobs. Like for 3 years, and after I graduate from CRC, I try to get one job as a technician, as everything. You are, if you remember, you are the only one who recommended me to someone in Marysville, something like that. I have interviewed them, but like, you know, these people need some experience in the United States. I don't have that. But in my experience in back home, I have a lot work in construction in a different field, especially in the oil company. I have many experience in that field. You're talking about someone to introduce you to the work, and you are lucky to get your father to introduce you that time. Every student, everyone have field experience in construction. He need one chance to introduce himself to the job or to anyone to need to work. I tried many times, and now I work at Apple as a trainer. When I told you yesterday I need to work with my brother to open my business, as you said, we have to make like a master plan to start that business. We talked yesterday. I talked with my brother to start anything I can do. He said the first thing we need to get a license. Now we struggle. He has a license, but we need to general contractor license. So I try and online to find that. But like, if I get the license from here, I cannot work in any another state, just in California. So I have to move there to get that general contractor to start that business. So when you write the master plan, you have to follow it step by step to reach your goal. First step, I told you, we struggle in general contractor, but like we're still working on our plan. We decided to move next year to work together, and I wish have something to do for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. And I recognize your name today. I didn't recognize it yesterday, so I thought I was talking to a different Ali,
No,
but
that's him.
it is so good to see you and hear from you. And what Ali is talking about is something that I do struggle a lot with a lot of my foreign students, and that is that language barrier and United States experience is often the two biggest issues that we have. And a lot of it has to do with education for our employers and for our employers to understand the value that comes with some of my foreign students. And I can't even say that I have met yet one foreign student that did not have exemplary experience that was coming over into my certification program. And that is one thing that I do encourage, is that being able to have a certification, especially if you don't have United States experience or you don't have United States credentials, of being able to get some type of a credential that is able to support your work experience, so that the two of those together on your resume provide a little bit more confidence for the employer to be able to hire you. But what Ollie said about having somebody to have your foot in the door is really important. And that's why when we were talking about developing our master plan, we were also talking about marketing. And marketing includes marketing yourself and being able to brand yourself and being able to get yourself out there. So LinkedIn, like I said, is usually where I do most of my business branding. Still trying to get my account together, because during my advertising of this 5-day, they apparently didn't like something that I did. So I got my hand slapped. So I'm waiting to get back on there so I can see all you guys. But really having that personal brand and knowing and understanding what you want people to see with you when they go on there to look. And so, Ali, thank you so much for expanding and sharing your story, and that I'm your favorite professor, even though I'm not going to be grading you anymore. So I feel grateful that you still feel willing to provide that title for me. It's really interesting, because I know I don't start off their favorite professor, because it's when we talk about language barrier, sometimes it's not even like the accent that gets in the way. Sometimes it's the way that we place our words in order to really understand how we want to get a point across. And a lot of my foreign students, because they're learning English, which is a very hard language, are very literal. And I tend to not be as careful and formal about my English language as they are. And so we would often butt heads and get really black and white about things. And I would be like, look, construction's not black and white. Like, you have to be able to know that a change order is going to be, compiled of a proposed change order or a change request or a, time and material work directive. It could be any of those. Any of those are going to cause money changes to the contract. And so it's kind of hard sometimes in construction, because we do use a lot of words and terms that could mean the same thing, but different in other projects or other areas. So very grateful to have you here, Ali. And that is having that foot in the door is something that I've been able to do for some of my students, and I love doing it. And it is a great opportunity for me, because I do have a lot of employers always reaching out to me to ask me if I know of someone, or if I have someone to suggest. And it's a privilege to be able to have that, and to be able to do that for my students, and red carpet an opportunity for them. But at the same time, it's frustrating when an employer doesn't understand or see in a student what I see, because they're thinking that they need work experience. And I know from my stories that I didn't have work experience, and I was able to do and be amazing in construction management. And so when I see a student that does their work, like I remember Ali's work, absolutely like pristine, the best, always on time, always complete, always thorough. And that's how I know he would work. And so when I can't get somebody placed, it's very frustrating for some of those reasons. But that's why we just got to keep trying. We keep pushing, or we build our own opportunity, which is what Ali is doing by going and building a business with his brother, with HVAC. And yes, with a master plan, with a master plan, and I'll just use Ali's example here so that if he wants to take notes and outline his master plan, he could do that really quickly, because he was starting to do something that I told you I did. And that is that I identified something that needed to be done. And so I focused 100% on that so I could get it done. But in doing it that way, you miss everything that's on the side of the road as you're driving forward. And so it's really important to keep that whole windshield in front of you. I love Jody Messina, but she has a song that is keep the windshield out in front of you. Don't look in the rear view mirror, because it's a much smaller piece of glass. Just keep looking forward and what you've got going. And so when you're building this master plan, and now Ali knows that he needs a license, there's a lot of different ways to be able to get a license. So I know in California, you can kind of piggyback on to another general contractor and be able to get what we call a responsible employee license, and be able to work on that until you're able to gain the experience necessary for you to be able to jump onto your own license. So there's other kinds of workarounds that can happen. But obviously having a license and having a business license in the area that you're going to be doing work is going to be one of the first things that you're going to look at. But in Ali's case, he's building a business and he's trying to get this started. And so in building this master plan, the first thing that needs to happen is what? Can anybody tell me? It's not getting a license. What's the very first thing? Okay, I got it. Building a master plan. Okay, so the very first thing is building a master plan. So the very first thing is going to be our vision and what that looks like. Ali's vision is to be able to build a legacy company with a family that is all contributing to different components and pathways of this beautiful business, where they are able to have so much clientele that they actually have to subcontract work out to other individuals. They've identified all of their perfect client. They have identified how to be able to maintain business year round for their particular company. They now have different pathways that this company is going to be working on. They will have maintenance, service and maintenance, but they will also have new construction that will become part of their company. They will be able to have markup on materials and equipment that they're selling out to other people, and probably will even have a frontage window store that allows them to sell specialty grills that are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. I don't know if you can see that one. It's a little dark, but it's pretty. Here. Nope, I can't make it bigger, but beautiful specialty grills that are going to be sold in the front store. And that's because his daughter, who's an interior decorator, is going to be able to show clients that even HVAC can be beautiful in this world. Okay. So we're going to have that master plan together, and then we're going to build big areas. And those areas are going to be new construction, frontage store, service and maintenance, preventative maintenance, and those are going to be our big areas. And each area then is going to have steps that are going to get us to success. So in that frontage store, we're going to put our daughter in charge of being the person who's going to identify each of those steps and what that looks like in order to be able to align and coordinate with her dream and goal of becoming an interior design person. Then the service and maintenance is going to have an identified family member who's then going to determine, you know, when is our busiest season? How many people do we need during that season? What is the cost of having all that in place? What budget do we need to start working on in order to be able to have money to pay our individuals, as well as money ahead for capital and being able to purchase any parts and materials? And then who's going to be in charge of the new construction? And so just being able to develop this master plan that then starts identifying, oh my gosh, I never realized it, but I have 5 different paths in this direction that I'm wanting to go. So now when I back pass and I'm down into my second phase of branding and marketing, I can understand that I don't want to market for all 5 of these things right off the bat, because it's going to be too much, too overwhelming. I'm going to get spread too thin. I know that those are in the future and I want to be able to work on those. But right now, the one that's going to make me money right now and get us started and get money rolling to be able to start feeding into those other paths is going to be service and maintenance. So what needs to happen for service and maintenance? I need service technicians. So being able to identify opportunities close by, a college that has potential interns that could work for less money, and being able to start some type of a training program that allows you to start streamlining your own employees. I personally think this is really important because the workforce is today such that if you don't start early investing in your own pipeline, it's going to be really hard to find people unless you want to spend a lot of money on them. So being able to start a small educational platform that is concurrent with what it is that you're trying to achieve with your business is going to be huge. And so you trade time, energy, and service for your training. So it's you know, hand in hand. Sound good, Ali? Do you have your master plan done?
Actually, we start, as you said, we need someone to work, have experience. So we start with our kids. So my son and my brother, boys, he has 3 boys, and my son has 4. He called me yesterday. Hey, send me your son. I have work in there for 2 weeks. They will get some experience how to and he work in new houses, so how to install all the HVAC installation, like the ventilation, the unit, everything like that. So for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, my son and his boys, they will work in that kinds. And yesterday I talked to my son, hey, even you will graduate from high school and you will go to the university. This job, it will be second job, like a second job for you. You can't graduate from your university, but you get this job, is very good for you. Work on it, get your license, even not now, even 2 years, 3 years, get your license and continue working that. And if you want to be bigger from that, you have to focus in that. So everyone have that's one step from our master plan, to train people and train my daughter, as you said. The other one, she can work in real estate. She can find some houses to buy it, like as investment, to remodeling and to do and sell it again. That's something for my master plan. I wrote it like before, so maybe we will start and we success in that.
Fantastic. And so that's one of the things that does need to happen in the master plan. Is yesterday we talked about writing our description as a construction manager and what we want that to look like. Now we need to identify what is it that we're really good at and what is it that we're not. making sure that we have a really clear, authentic understanding of what we still need to work on so that we can be honest with ourselves and find time of when we need to focus on that particular skill that's going to get us to that next level that we want in order to be able to meet the steps in our master plan. So one of the things that happens is a lot of people think, well, I do need a degree. I need a degree to be a qualified construction manager. And I will tell you, I'm a college professor, so I'm definitely going to encourage everybody to go to college. And this is the reason why. Because especially in today's world with the helicopter parenting that we have experienced, their students haven't been allowed the opportunity to be able to grow on their own independently. College offers an opportunity for students to be able to experience independence, but still be under a protective wing. So they're still close enough to maybe living with their parents and going to school, but being exposed to the world and just being able to wean away from them. You know, when my dad was younger, they went to the military, you know, or they went and they did something that kind of provided a protection during those 2 years that they could mature, they could identify how to manage their budget, how to make friends, all of these things that need to happen outside of the protective umbrella of a parent. And so I would say that I know for a fact that people do not need a degree to be successful and amazing in this world and in this life. What I will tell you about a degree and or a certification is that this is what the employers are looking for. And the employers are looking for this because they need a way to be able to filter out all of the resumes that they look at. So it's an easy filter to be able to say, I'm going to pick someone who chose education and was able to commit to something for 4 to 5 years, complete it, and end up with a degree. And so this is something that we do need to be able to educate our employers and help them recognize that when you have people like Ali that have amazing experience, like fundamental practical experience versus a degree or a certification, that's going to be just as valuable. But that's more to the point of what Ali also was saying of how important it is to have a foot in the door and to have somebody who can kind of pave that road for you and introduce you to someone. And this is why, you know, and this is a hard one. And it was funny because even yesterday, Robert told me exactly what he wanted to do, where he wanted to work, how long he wanted to work, what it was going to happen. And I had to smile inside because first off, so proud that he intentionally knows exactly what he wants to do. As an employer, I totally cringed because I was like, I hate these kind of employees. Like, I want somebody that's ready to move to the Bay Area for 6 months and then come back and go to work in Southern California for 3 months. And so it's something hard for employers to be able to really absorb and to understand that the happiness of their employees is going to be it's going to be off the charts important in order for them to succeed as a company. And so we do need to help individuals that want something so rigid and so strict to recognize that to get to the other side where you can be that way, there are going to be a couple tough steps that need to happen in order for you to prove yourself, right? Because when you first get on with a company, they've got 50 other really great employees. So you're on this company, you kind of have to prove where you're at in the pecking order before they'll start meeting some of your demands. And so this is why sometimes I do encourage students to take jobs that they normally might not take, because in my personal opinion, it's easier to get a job when you have a job. And so getting a job that is in alignment with where you want to go, but might not be as high or might not be paying as well, your acceleration in that position is going to be much faster because of your capabilities and your experience. But if you never get the shot to show them, then you're not going to be given the opportunity. And so a degree offers an employer kind of a measuring stick of what they are using in order to identify if you're worthy or not for their company. And this is what I call a value scale, and that we have to try to train and educate employers to change that value scale and help them recognize how important practical hands-on experience is, regardless if it comes with a degree or a certification. So we've had some really good discussion today. I don't want to go too far over. I can tell that I'm going to be a little bit over. So I'm going to go right into the main teaching that we want to get to so that you can work in your workbook. So for Cure, did you submit your homework? Did you do your homework last night?
Yes, ma'am, it's ready. I was little bit confused whether I will upload it on the file section or we will share the screen. That's
Okay.
why I just kept it.
Okay, I'm just making
Okay.
sure, because I can't
Yeah,
respond to it if I don't see it.
Yeah, if you want, I can share the screen for you,
No,
or I can upload it on the Facebook.
yeah, no, just upload it on the Facebook. And remember, we're all learning from each other. So I'm going to answer everyone's, and then everyone can read everyone else's answers and questions. And then we all learn from all of it, right? So you all have been gracious volunteers to open up the vulnerability of your life so that we can learn everything there is to know about everything.
That's for sure.
All right, fantastic. So again, you know, if we're feeling like we need to have a degree and we're feeling insecure about that because a construction manager needs a degree, again, I have a degree, it's in animal science, okay? So it really doesn't matter until you make it matter, all right? So we just need to be intentional about how we're focusing on this. Understanding, again, the role that we want to be aiming towards, and that description for that construction manager is going to be really important in us developing that vision, that big vision that we want for our master plan and for our company. We're then going to backpass and identify broad general areas that we're then going to build milestones and steps into the success of those areas. And I had said work experience is not necessary. We're facilitators of information. So we have to be able to research. We have to be able to find the answers. Experience will make it much easier on us. And it will also give us credibility and the language for other people to trust in what it is that we're saying and what we're doing. So anytime that you can get any hands-on experience, I even tell my students, park next to the curb and just watch those guys walking from rafter to rafter. I mean, it is absolutely amazing to watch construction in progress. And if you don't know what something is, then you look it up while you're watching it, you know. And I love the time-lapse videos too. Those are really, really amazing for being able to help you see the progression of work, understand the order of precedence, the means and methods that are producing the project. And so all of those are extremely valuable. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about the 8 key foundation skills that we're going to need to be a construction manager. Those are going to be life mastery skills that we are going to transition over into construction management. So reminding you that you're not as far behind as you might think you are, and being able to help you see how those 8 key skill sets are going to help you become a construction manager. So does anyone have any questions before we wrap up today?
Corey, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So the VIP portion of this, is this afterward, or how do we do that?
So it is after this.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize that anybody had signed up for the VIP. So I will make sure that we have that link for you. So as a matter of fact, let me think of how I'm going to do this. I want to make sure. I'm going to give you my email and then you can
Okay.
email me direct so I can send you the link. Did anybody
Okay.
else sign up for VIP? I don't know why I didn't get a
I did.
I'm sorry, Robert, you did? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I will get this worked out, but then we'll jump on right after this meeting into another link and I will get you guys, this link, but email me your email at cmonline.edu@gmail.com.
Thank you.
And then we'll get that all set for you. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, then I will see all of you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will talk about the 8 key skill sets necessary to be an amazing construction manager. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.